Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of our lighting tutorial of the USS Defiant. As you can see here, I went ahead and completed the top half of the ship and I've completed the bottom half of the ship. You're going to see a time lapse of basically what I've done to complete both halves. Done to finish the top half is I've installed the lights for the front of the warp nacelle and for the back, of course, the warp coils. I didn't have any blue 1.8mm LEDs, so I've just dipped these into blue paint, blue clear paint, and just installed them so that they're angled to where the parts are gonna rest, basically in the middle. Before I hadn't installed these little blue strips here because I was basically trying to paint them. I actually see a little bit of paint here I need to scrape off, but I was trying to get black and gray paint here so that I can get basically a circle, a glowing circle on the outside and a pin little circle glowing on the inside, just to properly light block it. Don't think there's anything else I did. For the bottom, I went ahead and installed a strip of lights for the front deflector and for the little internal lights that are inside here. On the bottom here, there's of course the strobes that are going to be coming out, the nav lights. On the side here, we have of course the red and the green and the rest of the internal lights. Mainly these LED strips here are going to be pumping light up to all the light features here that are going to get covered up with regular paint. So at this point, I'm going to be using a small little wire to basically connect both halves. I'm also going to be feeding another wire of each so that I can feed them through the bottom here. Real quick, I just want to show you what the lights look like right now. That's all the internal lights from the top, the two impulse lights. See the spotlight, and then if I bring the yellow wire, of course the strobes will go off. Once it'll get connected to the tenant control chip, they'll just flash, the proper timing. I also installed SMDs to make sure that the phaser cannons have a glow to them. Once they get painted, I'll just scrape off the top here so that once the light's on, they'll just remain lit as per the filming model. So there's enough light to make sure that nothing, even if these wires are covering up, like there's enough light bouncing around that it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So that's all the internal lights. There's our navs. Now on the model, the navs remain static. They don't blink at all, so they're connected to the regular power. They're not connected to the strobes. The strobes here, of course, are on the yellow wire, and then once everything is sandwiched together, you'll see the windows lit up, and then there's also a couple of points of light. I didn't quite think this part through when I attached the fiber optics here, how much they stuck out, and how much it'd be a pain in the butt to try to paint it. So I trimmed them down almost to like the end of the plastic, but likely they're probably either going to get covered up, or I'm just going to have to leave enough exposed so I can hopefully scrape off paint on the inside, and then I didn't screw myself in trying to paint on the inside. And then also, like with the bottom, there's a couple of SMDs that will be firing lights to the phaser cannons that will be attached to the bottom here. So I will now detach this. Usually I will just try to get the length of wire that I'm going to connect between the two as short as possible. You may want to bring the parts close in a way that the wires don't travel as much. And with the Defiant is a little more difficult because it's just a unibody. So normally this would be kind of the thing you would do for the saucer, for warp nacelles, for all of the parts of, say you're doing a refit or any other kind of standard configuration, Federation, Starship. But with this, because it's all in one, you basically just have the one section. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some lengths of wire cut. Again, I'm just gonna do a short one that's gonna connect between the two halves of the ship. And then you're gonna have basically however long the stem that you're going to install in, whether it's going to be a brass stand you buy third party, or if you happen to have any pour lights, hollowed out stands that come with the larger models like the Enterprise D or the Excelsior or Voyager. You want to cut a length of wire that's going to be probably longer than you think. I usually do like this is overkill, but I want to make sure I have enough to link through. I've often had a model where I thought I had enough wire and I shorted myself and I have to attach an extension to it, and then that's a shrink tube I have to deal with, extra thickness to try to cramp through the tube, so I'd rather not do that immediately. Also, these are the wires that are going to feed to the control chip that's going to go to the bottom of the stand. You won't, again, once you connect everything together, you'll know how much you have left over, and you can just cut them off, terminate them, just link your wires there. So let's go ahead and do our usual. For these, you're probably gonna have to go with the larger ones, because as you notice, especially with the red ones, there's a lot of wires gathered up. So I'm gonna attach the small wires to the top. The yellow one you could probably use a smaller, just because these, yeah, you can use a smaller one, because typically if you assign different wires to strobes, and if you have ones with navs, they're not going to have as many as the primary power, the positive and negative connections, so you can get away with using a smaller shrink tube for that. This part might get a little tricky. Of course, we're going to have to heat shrink these, but you need to angle the heat gun to where it's not pointing at your plastic. Otherwise, you're going to warp it, you're going to destroy it, and you're going to ruin your project. And I've done that before. Top officially done. We'll go ahead and just get the bottom wires connected just so we can feed them through the bottom. You're not going to shrink wrap these yet because you of course have to connect them. Tricky, so just make sure you have your shrink tube on hand, ready to go. Have all your tools. It's not going to be a fast thing, but it is going to get cumbersome trying to link these wires together. Just be patient. As cumbersome as this looks, we now have all wires connected. We can now make sure that we attach our wires to the main power wires here. Now, there we go. And now we have all lights on. We carefully bring this around. Should be able to see. The light poking through. Here's everything that's in between currently. You might need to button some of these. You can also see the light we have for the windows. There's going to be plenty of light reflecting. We'll attach our caps to there. You go ahead and test fit. So far, everything looks good. I press it all together. look like anything is interfering, but you will of course just go over, test everything. It looks like there's a wire that's kind of coming over the top of the warp nacelle here, so I'm going to carefully pull this apart as gingerly as possible. Alright. So we have a mostly completed ship, however, of course, we still have the caps to put on. We have all the bizarres, the warp coils, the deflector. All of these have been masked with Elmer's glue already on the inside. And this back part here, these could probably get attached. The only parts that aren't going to get attached right now is the impulse engines, because right now it's still too early and there's no way to really like mask those off effectively because they're so deep in there. I also have one of these ball joints just spare. I'm going to attach that to the bottom. I already have a hole drilled in to both sides running through so that the wires can come through. So I'm going to do, let's see, so the deflector should probably go on first. At this point, I'm just going to try to get all this as cemented as possible. If you're going to use like an extra thin cement, make sure you use as minimal amount as possible, only because if you get cement onto these fiber optics, they will more than likely melt off. You'll come off, and once that happens, you sort of block the light that you now have intended to put through, and you can ruin your nav job that way. If you decide to use an SMD instead, you won't really have that problem, but I like using fiber optics, so if you choose to use that, make sure you limit what you use to bind all this together. So I'm going to glue all this together, clamp it, and I will show you what that looks like in a moment. And here's where we're at now. I've, to the best of my ability, cemented all of the seams, taking care to not do damage to the fiber optics here. As you can see, the light's still poking through very nicely through all the areas I intended to. Now I'm just gonna let this dry. What comes next is we're gonna keep the lights on after it's all dried. Once the back piece is put on here, in fact, I'll probably do that very soon. I'll put the remaining pieces on, and then I'm just gonna take my putty, go over all the seams where there's any light leaks coming out, and then we're gonna take it downstairs, cover it in black. Likely we're gonna have to mask all these on top. I'll probably do that beforehand. Mask all these off so that we can keep these glowing blue. Got my Elmer's glue right here. I'll go ahead and do that off camera, but this is where we're gonna stop for today. I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched here, and hope you give it a like, comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.